the API system that you guys have developed, the deep linking system that you developed, the developer tools that you've developed, the debug tools. Like, I don't know where to start from, but it's like it's a developer's dream.
Hello and welcome to the BuddyBoss podcast, where we dive deep into the strategies that will help you build, launch and grow your online communities, courses and memberships. I'm your host, Jason Broderick, marketing manager and head of content here at BuddyBoss. If it's your first time here or you just haven't gotten around to it yet, click the subscribe button below this video and then click that bell icon to make sure you keep up to date with all of the latest content here at BuddyBoss. In today's episode, I'm delighted to be joined by Philip Ikpeiwunna, the developer of Blockli, the first third-party add-on for the BuddyBoss app, giving users a set of customizable blocks to visually display and connect content within their app. Philip tells us about how the first app he built outside of WordPress took him 2 years to develop and never saw the light of day. How being a user of the BuddyBoss app helped Philip to imagine creative solutions to customize the app experience, starting with 5 custom UI card types and planning an onboarding experience, a video and audio playlist, and a Gravity Form native integration. And how the BuddyBoss app developer toolkit, the app API, debug tools, hooks, and support team make building alongside BuddyBoss a developer's dream. Let's dive in. Hey Philip, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. So I'm super excited for this one because it's the first time that we're doing a podcast episode that's not necessarily a customer story podcast. It's a slightly different one. This is going to be from a developer perspective. But I'm also excited. I mentioned before we hopped on because you are the first person to have developed an add-on for the BuddyBoss app, and so this podcast episode is going to be talking all about Blockli, what it is, who it's for. So for anyone who doesn't know, anyone who sort of hasn't seen any of your videos or who isn't sure what it is, could you just explain what Blockli is, who it's for, and what it does for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jason. Blockli really is a set of UI cards that customers can use to sort of point users to different locations in their app. So basically, you're looking at a design system, because if you look at in an actual, say, in an app, in the design world, you have what you call, your UI cards. And so with those UI cards, you can use that to sort of direct people to different locations in your app. It's kind of like a way of condensed information. And so when I looked at the BuddyBoss app, I knew that there's a lot of content. In fact, that was the first thing that came out to me, right? Because I have my own community, I'm also a BuddyBoss customer, by the way. So in my community, we have like so much content. And when I mean so much content, but it felt like they were hidden in the hood, because all you got is the activity feed, right? And so when you get to the activity feed, you can see and scroll, but there's so much going on in these communities inside the app that it became, really a challenge for me and for my community to sort of show the people the different things that are happening. And that's when we started experimenting with this idea of sort of creating this UI cards that we can use to really direct people to different, locations of the app. So that's really what, at least the first MVP of Blockli is. And that was the original idea behind it.
Got it. So am I remembering correctly? Your community is Kingdom Life?
Yeah, Kingdom Life app. Yes.
Kingdom Life app. Yeah.
Yes.
So you sort of, as a BuddyBoss customer, you were using the app yourself, and you were discovering that you had so much content within your own community that you needed a more elegant way of directing people to certain areas of content or specific pieces of content that you felt were hidden. And that was sort of that kind of gave you the genesis of the seed of the idea for Blockli. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Cool.
Exactly.
So am I right in thinking, to sort of summarize what you said, Blockli enhances the BuddyBoss app by adding in custom cards that are user interchangeable. That, let's say, I can have card X that directs a user to content piece Y or whatever.
Yes.
Is that
exactly
a good basic description?
The beautiful thing about it is that the cards are not associated to the content. For example, if you build, say, a block for a lender's or a block or a group block, that block is associated with the group, right? You can't do anything else with it except really direct people to the group. But the cool thing about the Blockli UI cards is that they're not associated with any of these content types. So you can literally use, of course, the advanced deep linking system in the BuddyBoss solution to actually now point people from those cards to different content. So you can use one card for multiple purposes. So it's almost like recycling the same thing for, connecting various contents, within your community in the BuddyBoss app.
Got it. So kind of like card templates?
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. So we're going to dive much deeper into the actual functionality, and we're going to show some of the users what it looks like. For those of you who are listening, you can also go and watch this episode afterwards, and everything we talk about, we're going to show you all on video, all of the different various features and stuff like that. So tell me a little bit more about the genesis of the idea. So tell me a little bit about your own community, about Kingdom Life app. What's the community about? What's it for? Who does it serve?
Yeah, so Kingdom Life app is a Christian community. We started experimenting with this about 3 years ago because, I've always thought that technology is so powerful and it has a way of bringing people together. And I started looking for a solution for that. And so I came across BuddyBoss like 3 years ago, but then, it wasn't where it is today. And so I kind of put it off. And then by the time I came back to it about 2 years ago, and I was like, oh, wow, this has gone out of, it's just so grown. So, but we immediately knew that this is exactly what we need. I remember having a conversation with my wife, and my wife was like, well, you are always too quick to jump into conclusion. Maybe we should do a little bit more research. And I said to her, listen, when I see this stuff, I see it, I know it. This is it. There's no place. Exactly. And so 2 years down the road, and that was even before the app was launched. This was like when you guys still had the theme, we didn't know the app was coming, but I knew because when I saw the vision, the behind the BuddyBoss system, what you guys offer, I knew this is it. This is something that we can grow with. This is like a solid foundation that we can build our Christian community upon. And so from there, the app was announced. I remember the very first day that the video came out from Tom about the app, I bought it. Immediately he finished the video, I just paid for the app, 6 months ahead of time. So, but eventually when we got the app and we started using it, we quickly realized that, there's a lot that we can do. And so thankfully, BuddyBoss had right from the start, the custom development feature with it, because you guys could have decided to okay, let's just, get this going first before we start building all this stuff. And so what he told me is that there's a lot of vision in the company. They are not just living in the present, they live in the future, sort of striking that balance. And so it gave people like me who have that ability to see the future of where I'm going to start using some of those tools today, even though some of them at the beginning stages might be in their crude stages, but that's what it is. You got to get in there and tinker with it. So Blockli itself was born out of that. We started, in fact, the first card that I used was, if you are creating an app page, you could literally drag an image block. You can drag an image block and put it in an app page. So I started with that, and then I was like, okay, I can drag an HTML block into an app page, and then sort of write my own CSS and create the cards myself. That was the first card I created, and I put it there. But I realized that I couldn't scroll left and right on them, and I was like, oh my God, I want more, And so that was how the idea evolved, right? Just from a simple image in an app page, a simple HTML block, and stacking, little cards there, and just write a little CSS to kind of have them stay side by side. And I knew that, okay, I can do more with this. And so that's when I started looking into the development resources that you guys have. And then that's how we started working on Blockli to now have an actual, card system whereby the content will be hosted on WordPress, right? You can create the post in WordPress and then display that, in the app. So that's how we arrived at where we are today.
Tell us a little bit about what's your level of experience as a developer. What are you like a React native developer, PHP developer? Did you how many years of experience, or sort of did the idea sort of force you to become a bit of a developer?
Actually, I have a BS in computer science. That's actually what I studied. So it all came together. I have a background in a really heavy technical background in computer science. But, as I kept going in my journey in technology, I started falling in love more with product management. So I took, I did a master's degree in digital entrepreneurship, which is really focused on building apps, building products, and launching them, right? And so combining my technical experience over 20 years with now my business skills and combining those things, that's what brought me into this place of, just to think from that perspective of, rather than just a technical guy who writes code, to more of the product manager who is able to cast the vision for the product. And so Blockli came so easy to me because I was able to, because I have a huge base of developers, people that I've worked with over the past decades, right? And so I was able to assemble them together, because to build a product, you need a team. And I think what made Blockli successful is the team. And again, I really admire BuddyBoss, because you guys have an incredible team. Like what you're building is amazing. And just to see the rate at which you're chunking out features and your capacity to really envision and build such a unique and amazing product almost made me want to work at BuddyBoss.
That's so funny. You're like the third guest who's been very gracious enough to kind of to say that to us. I tell a very similar story about how I ended up working at BuddyBoss myself. People are listening or watching at this stage, sort of 4 episodes in, are probably sick of me telling that story now. But I have a very similar experience of just getting really excited about the vision for BuddyBoss and wanting to come and work for the company, which was my sort of entry into the BuddyBoss world, was other than my own community,
and I'll say
just like
this, this is the first WordPress related project that I'm working on. Like the whole plugin ecosystem is like, it wasn't my word. And when I came into the WordPress ecosystem, it was like, at first I was a little bit frustrated, because you see a lot of plugins, you see a lot, I'm like, how are they controlling all this? It's like, how do you manage all this plethora of things happening? But when I saw BuddyBoss and I saw the team, it just changed my whole perspective about WordPress, and that I began to really take a deeper look at it again. And I discovered that because WordPress is an API platform, it's like the way the infrastructure is built is so powerful. And so that's why I said, well, if I'm going to build anything that is related to WordPress, then I want to build along a team that is so efficient, and I know that BuddyBoss is actually that team. And so I'm really happy to be developing alongside, the products that you guys are doing.
That's awesome. To sort of hit the compliment back over the net for you, it's very clear to me anyway, certainly looking at Blockli, even just the design system, the way you've put it together, the launch, it's very clear to me that you're very competent, and that I was pleasantly surprised at how good Blockli was. Having not known a lot about you, or not known a lot about your background or whatever, it's very clear to me that you're bringing a lot of, not just like you described, the technical kind of bachelors of technology kind of mind, that you're also bringing the product manager, the sort of to use a parallel that you used earlier. If Blockli is the Elementor of the BuddyBoss app, then looking at Elementor and looking at it's how technologically good its foundation is, but how amazing the sort of the product manager sort of marketing, launching, the vision side of it, I guess. I see a lot of the parallels in that with Blockli. So congrats, and I hope Blockli does amazingly well, and we're going to do everything we can to open up the doors for you in any way we can, and for hopefully that will open up the doors to many other developers just like you in the future who also want to develop in parallel to the BuddyBoss app and the BuddyBoss ecosystem as a whole, as it develops. Cool. So that's the sort of the seed, the genesis of the idea. So then tell me a little bit, are you, while you were developing Blockli, did you have anybody other than yourself? I guess Kingdom Life app is a good example of actually utilizing Blockli as it was being built. Did you have any other customers or any other clients that you were sort of using as sort of beta testers or whatever for Blockli as it was being developed?
Yes. I have a couple of clients that I helped to launch the BuddyBoss app, right? And some of them are actually in the Christian, space. A lot of churches, huge mega churches that are actually using the BuddyBoss app to power, their community around the world. I have my mentor who is really big on social media, and he does all these like huge live stream events, and he has thousands of people tuning in. And I was like, well, you could do all of that and people can just tune in, but if you don't have a way of keeping the conversation going and continuing to nurture and not just see those people as people who are attending an event, but actually a community that you're building. And so BuddyBoss app and the BuddyBoss whole system was like perfect for that. So I do have clients that I help develop, sort of launch their BuddyBoss app. And so whatever I'm doing in my own system, I'm also using that for them, right? So like I said, I've been using Blockli for over 7 months, going to 8 months now, and they too have been using it as well. And so, which was really good because we learned a lot. We knew what worked and what didn't work, and I didn't initially want to just kind of rush out to bring it to market, because the BuddyBoss system is such it's a unique system, that it's new, but the documentations and everything I needed to make sure that I'm comfortable, I feel confident, that I wrap my head around it. And so before we did that, so I do have communities that I'm helping and that are also using Blockli.
Great, cool. So tell me then, as you're sort of you're developing Blockli piece by piece, you're starting to put together the MVP. I can see from the site and I can see from the sort of material that you have let's call them a set of MVP features, I guess.
Yeah.
And that seems to me like that's come out of challenges that you see repeatedly facing, different types of content that you see repeatedly, whether that's for your own Kingdom Life app or for other clients. So tell me a little bit about the different types of, or the different categories of content that you think were challenges that seemed to repeat themselves, that looked like Blockli might be a good solution for.
Yeah. So in terms of use cases, even on our website, we actually have a page that we're just sort of like building out, just kind of show the use cases for this card. So you think about first, LearnDash lessons. LearnDash lessons are one of the things that are so deep hidden in the app that for you to get to a lesson, you have to go to a course. And then from the course, you have to navigate down deep into the lesson before you get to the lesson and before you get to the quiz, right? But the BuddyBoss deep linking system is so powerful that all you need is a click of a button, right? And then you can get to a lesson. But it's not just that you can do it, but how do you present it, right? In a stylistic way, in a way that has a very good user experience, right? So with Blockli, you can literally copy the link of a lesson and pick one of those cards and just sort of like say to your community, hey, this week, this is the lesson for the week. We're going to be, doing this, that. You put it right there so that as people come in, it's easy for them, right? Imagine if you land into a BuddyBoss app and on your home page, you could see everything that you need on the home page without having to like go scavenging for them. And so you could just click on that, right? So sometimes, we talk about the BuddyBoss deep linking system, and a lot of people don't understand that it's not just a link that you click on. Like that's why it's called a system, right? So there's a lot, right? So Blockli, there will be no Blockli without the deep linking system of the BuddyBoss app, right? So you look at LearnDash courses, you think about even things like, say, for example, you want to highlight certain members of your community, right? So instead of waiting until BuddyBoss builds, say, for example, a block that would do something like a leaderboard, right? Where you can showcase like different members. I know we do have right now a block that is for recent activities or recently active members, right? Where you just see the circle and that. But I'm like, well, we can have a block that is really official for that, where it doesn't have to be dynamically generated, right? The app owner can sort of like take the picture and just tell the story of this person and highlight as a banner in the app. And then, of course, if you click on it, it'll take you straight to that person's profile. That's one. The other one is GamiPress, right? So there are so many GamiPress achievements. If you go to a BuddyBoss website, because there's such a deep integration of GamiPress and BuddyBoss website itself, you can go to a page that has like achievements and things like that. In the BuddyBoss app, I think we have a screen right now that, where you can see different, badges and things like that. But what if there's a community where they do things like challenges, right? How do you showcase those challenges in the app so that somebody can click on it and be able to sort of like start that challenge? You can combine that with things like Groundhog on Kenny Automator with their magic link, where you can take a card and then the URL that is in that card is actually a magic link. And when someone clicks on it, I've done this. If you click on it, it just triggers a whole chain of automation that is happening in the backend, right? And so, that's one way you can use, the card. So when we talk about Blockli, they're not just cards that you can just, swipe around. If you really know your system and your plugin stack, you can combine those. You don't have to wait for BuddyBoss to sort of build every form of functionality for every single thing. You can just use your creativity and think about the different tools that you have and combine them together and achieve an incredible thing that you want within the app. So for me, I am so satisfied with the BuddyBoss app because like I can do anything I want not because I'm a developer. The things I use are literally the tools that are already there. You talk about on Kenny Automator, you talk about all of these different, plugins that have deep integration with BuddyBoss, but then the cards come in to sort of help to like tie them together and make that connection. Because Jason, it's going to take a while before some of these plugin developers will really start building native integration for the BuddyBoss app, right? Because, they have focused on all the things that they're working on, but the Blockli is more or less like that MVP that is just like just there for now, right? To make that connection. But we have bigger plans for it. And when we start talking about the future roadmap, we can talk a little bit more about the future of Blockli.
Tell me a little bit more about how you mentioned the deep linking system as one example. Mm-hmm. Could you describe to me some of the other ways, or even go deeper into the deep linking, of how the BuddyBoss app ecosystem is helping you to speed up your development, or helping you to speed up the deployment of Blockli, or is allowing you to sort of enhance the features in Blockli? How is the app ecosystem helping you to do that?
Very huge. The first app I built was a couple of years ago. It's called Candlelight Factory. The current developer who's working with me right now on Blockli, we built it together. We had to build every single piece of that thing. It took 2 years to build it. And by the time we finished building it, the technology was outdated. And you see what I'm saying? Like, it took 2 years to build an app, and then by the time you're done, the technology is outdated, and the app never made it to the light of day. But with what is so cool about BuddyBoss for me is that you guys are building the foundation. You see what I'm saying? And because it's also like it's a huge company, you have a massive amount of customers and things like that. You're able to put that pressure, right, to continue to innovate, to continue to like sort of improve, update, and do all of that stuff and build this amazing technology. So my job now is, instead of me trying to focus on the nook and cranny of what's happening, I just build on top of that the much cooler stuff, the much nicer stuff that I want to do. And so BuddyBoss, sometimes I've had a lot of conversations with some clients who wanted to get the BuddyBoss app, and they were like, oh, should I go build my app, or should I, take the BuddyBoss? Then I said, first of all, BuddyBoss is solving you a whole lot of problems. Like 70% of your development work is taken care of at the fraction of the cost. And then on top of that, you add the community into it. Like to build an app that is a social networking app, it's a huge undertaking. And a lot of people who are out there who really are into the business of community, right? If they were to go hire a developer to build a robust system, well, it's going to take you years before you get there. And by the time they're done building it, you probably have lost interest in the vision in the first place. But with BuddyBoss solution, we were able to just sort of rapidly engage with the ideas that we have. So if I think about something today, I'm not thinking about how to build the foundation for it, because I know that the BuddyBoss foundation is there. I just build on top of that. And then the amazing custom development tools that BuddyBoss has, it's unbelievable. Like the documentations, the everything, the hooks, whatever, all of the different things that you guys are exposing. And for the fact that this is, you build this as an API first platform. So what that means is that it unlocks a lot of opportunities as a headless content management system, because if you look at WordPress is really a CMS, it's a content management system. So you can house all your data there. But then because it's through the API, you can present that data anyhow you want it, right? And so that's what the BuddyBoss solution does, right? In the app, you've got all of this content that is happening in WordPress, but you guys have found an ingenious way of taking all of that and representing in a different way in a mobile app, right? Now, if developers like us understand that, then you switch into that mode where you recognize that, oh, wow, okay, all I need is to, first of all, create the container to gather all of that content or data in WordPress. And then through the API, I can do that. So the API system that you guys have developed, the deep linking system that you developed, the developer tools that you've developed, the debug tools, like, I don't know where to start from, but it's like, it's a developer's dream, to just see that somebody's taking care of all that heavy lifting, and then all I just have to just do is the nicer part of it. So your solution has been very helpful, for us. I know sometimes some people will be like, oh, if I go there, the documentation is difficult to understand and this like that. I can understand that, but really, if you really see the core of it, it's simple, and like you said, one of the things I desire is to see a lot of developers develop for the BuddyBoss app. And in fact, to be honest with you, starting Blockli, doing Blockli is like a way of to start a conversation, as far as I'm concerned. It's just to start a conversation. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I'm glad that, you guys were able to reach out, because that means that there's an alignment of vision and purpose. And I'm sure that there are a lot of developers out there too who will be encouraged by this. And they're going to come out and start building amazing tools that is going to turn the BuddyBoss app into, like, I don't know, something that it's out of this world, right? And so, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the specific way that Blockli relies on, without putting words in your mouth, relies on GitHub, and how we can merge repos. Tell me a little bit about how that works. For somebody who, let's say for somebody who doesn't really understand why they might need that, or how that works, could you just explain a little bit about how that works, and about how Blockli relies on that system to function?
Yeah. So to do custom development with the BuddyBoss app, right, you need a GitHub repository where you're going to have your React Native code live there. Now, when you're going to generate an app build, BuddyBoss has already made it possible so that you can include your GitHub repository, and then BuddyBoss will merge that into the entire code base to build your app. So that's how you get your custom features into the app, right? Now, so when we were building Blockli, originally we were thinking, how are we going to distribute the product? And going by GitHub, right? Our original idea was, okay, if we have 10 customers, we have to have 10 repositories, and sort of take the Blockli code and distribute it, right? And then give each customer the code or repository that they can go merge into their own repo. Over time, it started getting convoluted. I'm like, oh my God, this is not sustainable. In fact, before we launched the initial promo video we launched, we have actually built an entire CI/CD pipeline that can actually house thousands of customer repositories. And with the push of a button, we can replicate our code into those repositories. And then they can take those their repository. Each customer will take his or her repository URL and put into the BuddyBoss app, and then it can pull that. But as I began to look at it, I was like, wow, this is gonna be so much. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be a lot. And then we connected, after we released the promo video, we connected, and I started talking with some of your developers, and the whole thing changed. So right now, Blockli is being delivered through an NPM package, actually. So it's, instead of the code being in a GitHub repository, it's an NPM library. And what that does is it's opening a completely different world on its own, where you can have developers build SDKs and React Native libraries that can actually now be code dependencies with the BuddyBoss app, right? And so customers can actually subscribe to use those libraries and in their app. So what we did here was like we sort of stepped into the future a little bit, and that was because BuddyBoss came in and said, okay, there's a better way we can do this, right? I mean, you guys have been thinking about it, but I don't know why you did it, but I really appreciate that you did it, because it saved me a heck of a problem and a lot of money, a lot of cost to do that. So the GitHub repository really is necessary. As far as Blockli is concerned, you just need a starter file. Like, you just need a GitHub repository that will make calls to that NPM package that is already connected to the BuddyBoss app, right? And I don't know, maybe there might be that future where a GitHub repository is not needed anymore, or whatever the case might be. But right now, you need a GitHub repository, and there's nothing complicated about it. Sometimes people hear GitHub and they're like, oh my God, but there's nothing complicated about it. You just, create an account and sort of, start your repository, put your files in there, and then take the link and give to BuddyBoss. BuddyBoss does the rest. They know how to pull your code, do all that merge, So the developer system that you guys have created, it's just amazing.
So to sort of jump on a point that you made, or I guess a question that you raised, which was, you don't particularly know why we did it that way or whatever, or why we sort of connected with you or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's important to sort of flag that, or to flag again, I guess, that you're the first to have done this.
Yeah.
Or to have come to us, or to have sort of put their hand up and said, hey, there's something I want to do here.
Yeah.
And as soon as we saw you do that, we wanted to rally everything we could around you, and to sort of open any doors we could, open any floodgates that we could. And you're absolutely right to identify that there is a sort of, we're looking into the future of it, and the way we've managed to achieve Blockli's integration in the short term was the quickest way we could facilitate your your product being able to be used with customers. It's definitely, as it is for you, the first version of your product, it is also the first version of our I guess our third-party ecosystem. And you're the first one to put your flag in there. And so that's we are absolutely aware of the challenges that presents, the limitations that presents, from your side as the business owner, as the third-party developer, but also from our customers' side, customers who want to use Blockli, who might have challenges with their developer access, who might not even have developer access, and who want to use that. We definitely are keen to address that. We would have eventually addressed it, but you came first.
Blockli is making you address it much sooner.
Absolutely. Look, that's it. But it's good. It's good because it forces us to, to sort of do something that might have fallen down the chain of priorities. It might have lost its priority due to other projects. As I'm sure you're aware, and all of our customers are aware, we are spinning 100 plates all at once, and so we're constantly managing resources, constantly managing what we can or cannot put time and energy towards. And we didn't want that to limit your ability to launch Blockli. So this initial way of integrating it was the quickest and most resource efficient way of opening a door to Blockli. And it may not be the way it continues, if that makes sense.
and I think just the little time that, it's just been like 2 weeks, that we at Blockli really started like talking with BuddyBoss, and within that 2 weeks, like we have so much improved. You guys made us have to go build things that, for example, 2 weeks ago, when we released the initial promo video, we didn't have an authentication system. We were literally just going to I was like, well, I'm not just going to keep the code here. It's sitting here, and I don't want it to be one of those projects that I built and I left it, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to whatever. And then after that video, things just, changed from there. And within 2 weeks, we were able to build an API authentication system, because now Blockli is going to come through like as an NPM package that it already exists as a codependency to the BuddyBoss app. But then how do we authenticate users and apps to connect with that? And so, we took on the challenge and we built it. And I think for me, in the journey of building Blockli, this past 2 weeks was like one of the best. And that's to tell you that your team is amazing. And I think anybody who comes alongside you guys to, do anything, develop anything, there's so much, that they're going to learn. There's so much that they're going to be pushed, because you guys have already set the standard. You've already set the bar, right? And so I knew that if I'm going to integrate anything with the BuddyBoss, like that thing has to be top notch. It's not going to be some crappy code. It's not going to be like, so I was like, okay, this gotta be right, and one of the things I've also taken extreme measure on is like, I've learned from you guys the importance of quality testing, quality assurance and testing stuff. Like I told you, Blockli has been sitting with me for 7 months. And I'm just like, and even up until the morning that we launched Blockli about a week ago, there was just one test that was remaining. And it wasn't really, but I was like, no, it will happen. You know what I mean? Like, even if the launch is not going to happen, that test is going to happen. And that's because of some of the things that I've, in my own experience, but also seeing your release cycle, the approach that you guys take, even when customers want things when they want it, but you really know that you don't want to give a baby a food even though they want it now, but then it's going to end up hurting the baby, right? And it's going to come back at you, right? So I really appreciate that.
Awesome. That's amazing. I love that. You're absolutely right. We, over the last year, we've definitely sort of had a resurgence in our focus on quality of quality assurance and testing, and we've really put a lot of resources and energy into making sure that we're not just releasing quickly, but also releasing quality, and releasing things that are bug free, that are stable. Even if that means holding things back. And it's the thing we probably get the most heat over is holding things back. But we would much rather get into heat over holding something back than we would get into heat over releasing something too early. If you're going to get into heat, you're going to get into heat. Well, either way, the better way to do it is get into the heat for making sure it's good.
Yes, exactly.
It brings you a lot less problems if you get into the heat for making sure something was perfect before you released it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So let's now dive into a little bit about, more specifically about Blockli. We're going to walk through some of the features. I'm going to get you to describe a few to me. For those of you who are listening, we're going to do our best to sort of visually describe what we're looking at, but you can also head over to the BuddyBoss blog or the BuddyBoss YouTube channel if you're listening, and you can watch. You can watch along, and we'll have visual aids. We'll have visual demonstrations of everything we're about to walk through with Blockli. All right? Okay, so Just looking on your website right now, at the time of launch. So I know I've watched your video as well, and you have a set of features that are available at launch, and you've also teased a few elements that are in the planning stages or are coming soon or are in the pipeline. So what I'm hoping to do now is spend a bit of time on both. Let's talk a little bit about what's available right now. We can go through each of them, and you can describe it to me, and then afterwards I'll let you tease everyone a little bit about the things that are coming soon, and we'll also show some of those too. So starting off with the things that are here on your website right now, I can see like 4 or 5 different categories of cards that are available right now. One of which I believe is not currently ready as we're recording this, but will be ready by the time people are listening. Is that right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Great. So why don't we go through each of them then, and you can describe each of them to me. So take it away with the cards that are available now. Go through each one of them and let me know what they're for and how you can use them.
Our card system, there are 5 different categories of cards. So we have the graphic cards, the post cards, the featured card, the video card, and the blog card. So each of them, there's a reason behind them. So the graphic card are really simple. They are the basic of them all. It's just a little card. You can put a background image on it and just drop a link in it. And so if you look at in the actual card detail screen where, when you're creating a post, you just have a few fields there, which is the title and then the link, or maybe any other metadata text or something like that. And then you just put the image, right? So that one is like a quick way of getting things out, to people. Then from the graphic card, you move to the postcard. So the idea behind
Philip, before we jump to the postcard, give me an example of where somebody might use a graphic card, like a sort of a real world example of why somebody might use a graphics card.
Yes, absolutely. So think of a situation where, say, for example, you have forums, right? You have forums in your app, and you want to sort of use a card system to show the different forums in your community, right? So instead of you going to, right now, the way you can see forums is that you have to go to the navigation, right? And then you go in, I think it's called discussions. You click on it, you see a whole bunch of discussions, but really, I don't think you could actually see like where things are categorized in terms of like, okay, this is this forum, there's that forum, that's that forum. So you can use a card system and copy the link of each of those forums and then design a really good graphic, like you can do it in Figma or whatever, a really good graphic, and then use that graphic as the background image for the cards. And then you put the link to the forum. And so right now in your app page or on your homepage, you now have like a scrollable, swipeable, cards that is showing you the different forums. And then when you click on that forum, it takes you to that forum and all the discussion in that forum, right? And
Amazing.
So instead of waiting until, say, for example, in the future, if BuddyBoss builds a forum block, right? You could use something like that to get to that kind of. You can also use the graphic cards to feature members, member profile like we talked about. So that's one of the things you can do with a graphic card. You can also link to even a group. If you feel like, okay, I'm using the BuddyBoss group block in my homepage, but in another page, I want to kind of like spruce things up a little bit and not keep reusing the same block over and over. I just probably want to you can use the graphic cards because there are different, so in each post type, we have multiple styles. So we're talking about the graphic card, right? Now you have graphic card 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to be adding more. So literally you just have a plethora of designs to choose from, all from the back end, right? So you're not just stuck with like one card because each app page you're building is unique, is different, like you might want to have a different way. And again, the dream of a lot of customers that I have spoken to and people who are my friends, both in the BuddyBoss community, is that they want, when you move from one page to the other, things are fresh, right? Because if you just only use the block system that is currently in existence right now, you're probably gonna start having like same thing all over. And so this card system comes in and just start shaking things up a little bit for you.
Amazing. So one question about that before we move on to the next card type. This might be a simple no, or it might be a simple like not yet. Are the fields dynamic? So let's say if I wanted to show a series of custom post types using the image card, could I say, hey, show 10 image cards, pull from custom post type jobs, and grab the featured image from the job? Is that possible currently, or is that not yet
Currently,
possible?
no. It's in the roadmap. So the way the cards are designed, the cards themselves are post types themselves, right? So you can create them. Now, when you go into an app page and put a block, and then in the settings, you could filter those the posts that you've created with the graphic card. So let's say I have 20 posts that I created with a graphic card, but those posts are all different things. Maybe 5 of them are members, 5 of them are forums, 5 of them are this, that, right? Now I can create categories within that post type and say, okay, there's a member category, there is a lenders category, but still inside the graphic post type. Then when you now drag the graphic card into your app page, when you go to the setting, you could actually filter it dynamically and say, you know what, I only want the graphic cards that are designed for members to show up here, right? So you can dynamically filter the categories at that card level. Now, in the future, we are, exploring the possibility of sort of hooking into other posts that are out there. But again, like I said, the customers, the people that are using these apps, we all have different post types, literally. Some people have reached out to me and said, hey, can you build me a custom app screen for events? Can you build me a custom app screen for a gym? Can you, they have different post types, and you can't really build for every single post type, right? And so the solution for us is to build something that is a little bit generic at this MVP level, so that people can actually start getting that little bit of a snack bite of the future that we're seeing, right? While we now start, exploring how do you cater to thousands of customers who have different needs, different custom post types. You can't just build for all of that, right? And so I think it goes maybe when we start talking about the future, where one of the things we're looking to do is to start building this template system where people can actually by themselves map dynamically their post types into these blocks. In fact, we've actually designed the system right now. They can just map this. So if you look at it, you can say, okay, I want to use this block, but this block, I want to use a dynamic post of mine that I created. Maybe I used ACF, Advanced Custom Field, to create the post. Now you can actually, in the Blockli settings page, map your custom post type to a specific card system, and then use that. That way we don't have to intentionally build you a block for your post type. Rather, we build a block that is pluggable, so you can plug things into it. So that means that thousands of people can use it. We don't have to go chasing down every single, customer or custom post type or stuff like that.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. That's you're speaking my language already. I'm thinking of my own community, and I'm thinking of my entire community is run on custom post types. We have a directory, and we have a directory with multiple different services in the directory. Each one of those is its own custom post type. Then we have events. Each of those are a custom post type. Then we have jobs, and each of those is a custom post type. And I'm thinking currently, the only way to the only way is to use links with web fallbacks. Currently is the only way to have all of these custom post types showing.
That's web fallback.
That was the very first thing my brain jumped to was, could I use this to show the five most recent jobs in this category? Or whatever. That's my where my mind jumped to immediately.
Absolutely.
So that was the image card. I know we jumped down a rabbit hole there of of dynamic cards. So talk me through some of the other cards that are available.
So the next level is the postcards. So because when I designed this card system, I'm thinking about what are the different content types that people in the BuddyBoss community, in the WordPress ecosystem are actually dealing with, right? So when I say post types, I'm thinking about things like WooCommerce products. I'm thinking about things like, easy digital downloads, like post types, so the postcard. And also when you look at it, the way they are designed, the number of CTA that they have, So for example, we talked about the graphic card, right? The graphic cards don't have any CTA. They're just little like card with an image, with a text, and you click on the whole box and it takes you somewhere. But if we go to the postcard now, you're talking about, say, for example, if you're talking about a WooCommerce product, right? You need a checkout button. You need a description. You need just a whole pieces to it, right? So the way we design the postcard now is to like the postcard will have like a button, a CTA, a text, a graphic, a white background. So you can see, and I like what you said at some point in this call that it's easy for somebody to think that Blockli is just like a bunch of things that I can just swipe around, but it's not, because there's a whole lot of like design system that goes into it. And as people start using it, that's when they'll be like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like when something solves a need for you, you probably wouldn't even know that it's doing that until you start experiencing it. So the postcard is like that. So you can use a postcard to, showcase products. One of the ways I've envisioned using a postcard is, right now in the BuddyBoss app, you have your in-app purchases, right? And so there is a screen right now, which is a product screen. When you create a product, you have to check a box that says, I want this product to show up in the product screen, right? So that means the product screen is the only way you have to actually showcase the products that you have. But what if I want to put my products in a swipeable stuff in my homepage here and there, or I want to highlight maybe one product as a theme in my homepage, right? So I can use a post type and take exactly the same fields that are in each of those little cards in the product screen and create that as a postcard. And then, you know what's cool about it? You can just copy the deep link of the specific product from your product then and put it in the card, because the card is going to work with that. And so now on your homepage or any other place in your app, you have this really beautifully styled product thing that has the button and all of that stuff that matches the theme. When you click on it, then it opens the actual product where you will make the purchase, right? So that's one way you can use the postcard.
Amazing. My brain is immediately jumping to creating an app landing page for a product.
Exactly.
So if currently the only way to, like you said, the only way to see or access products is, well, there's two ways. There's one, which is the product screen, which is a screen that lists all products, and you can selectively show or hide products. If there are certain ones you don't want on the product screen, let's say, you can hide them. And the other way is if you link a product directly to, let's say, a LearnDash course, where you click the course and it opens up the product. But there's no way currently for you to have what I would call a landing page or a sales page dedicated to a specific product. You have to rely on the product screen or the individual product screen. So it sounds to me like this card type would allow somebody to build individual sales pages inside their app where they could feature just one product and then anything else on that page they wanted to sell that product. That sounds sounds like that to me. That's very powerful.
And they connect with each other. So let's say, for example, you build a product screen with this card system. Then you can have another card somewhere, which is a little tiny card somewhere that when you click on it, it takes you to this product screen that you've built, right? So it's almost like what's happening on the website. Like you can create a page and then find different ways to, link people up to that page. And one of the things that we're also doing with the postcard is in a future release, we're building what we call a full page block. So that means if you drag a block, one of the Blockli blocks, and put it on an app page, by the time you go to the app, you're not just seeing a card. It's a full page, like a complete full page. So literally, you create app pages just with a single block. So you put in all of the information that you want to be there. Maybe probably like, say, think about the blog. The blog page where you have your featured image, you have a text, you have like things here and there. You can sort of gather those assets in that post type. And by the time we bring it into the app, that's a full page on its own that you can use to talk more about your product, more about your class, more about your course, more about your group. And then at the end of the day, you have a CTA there that will actually now take you, to the specific screen
sales
or the deep link,
screen,
stuff like that.
Amazing. That's awesome. That's great. Cool. So that was the postcard. Tell me about the next one up then.
So then the postcard, and we have the video card, which is my favorite. The video card. So what they're basically designed for any video related content, right? So for example, you can use it to go straight to a LearnDash lesson, or you can go to an external link, a YouTube video. And that's also the cool thing about the cards, right? You can actually link outside of the app. You can link to web fallbacks within the app, because that's what it does, right? And it's not really the card that is doing it. It's the BuddyBoss deep linking system that is doing it. You know what I mean? So the video cards are just for things like, videos and things. Let's say, for example, you have a podcast, right? We have the one I love the most, like, it's like a square, like a rectangle, really bold, where you can really, on your homepage, let's say you have a couple of episodes of your podcast that have gone on, you could just put it there and people can, click there and go watch it. Now, when I designed it, because I do a YouTube live stream, and at the end of the week, I like to get snippets of that live stream and bring it into my community. But how I was doing it before was, I'll create a video post in the activity feed and all that. But I wanted it to, like, when you come into the homepage, it's always there. You can always just scroll around it and watch it. And so with a video card, you could put a YouTube link there, a Vimeo link there, or whatever it is, or even a blog post or a page that you have. Say, for example, you use Presto Player to create, let's say you created a page and you use Presto Player to put like the video there, and then you can take the link to that, put it in one of those cards. When you click on it, it takes you to that page where you're going to watch that. But there's something amazing we're going to do with the postcard. The video card. We're actually going to build a video player for it. So when you put, say, for example, it's going to support YouTube or Vimeo. If you upload your video on YouTube or Vimeo, now if you take that link and put it in the post, in that card, when you click on the card, it will actually bring you into this immersive experience of a video player, not just taking you, somewhere else,
external,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly.
So this is super exciting. So tell me a little bit more about the actual structure of the video card itself. Mm-hmm. I can see it visually here.
Yeah.
It looks how you would expect a video card to look, with a sort of a header style. What would be an image but is a video. Mm-hmm. Does that move? Does it play? Is it an actual video playing, or is it just like a featured image with a video overlay type thing?
Right now, it's a featured image that has a CTA, which is a play button, and then you have the duration, right? Mm-hmm. All these things are they're not dynamic. You have to author it. By dynamic, I'm saying it's not you're gathering that data from a specific post, but you alter it. You create it first, and then we would dynamically pull it into the card, right? Through the card system or the API, whatever, and bring it in. So you can swipe and click on those, and then it will link you somewhere else. But what I'm saying is that in a future release, we're going to have a version of it where literally you can just see this, like the video is sort of auto-playing within that card. It's like Facebook stories, right?
Yeah.
You can just go in and then you can just see Facebook stories and things like that. We can actually make something like that, and this is so easy to do. Once you figure it out, it's amazing, because that's the way, the amazing thing about the BuddyBoss system, right? It's just about your imagination and what is it that you can come up with. Yeah. And then the featured card. So the featured card is really the high rank of it, because the idea behind it is to use it to feature things, right? You can feature a member, you can highlight an activity, you can highlight, a big announcement. They're more or less like ads, banners that you can just use to call attention to things. One of my favorite in it is there's one that is like an auto carousel. Like when you scroll on it, you can see the count. It would say, okay, 1 of 3, 1 of 4, 1 of 5, and you can see the little dots. Like it's just a big thing there. And then it has a bunch of CTAs, right? You can use it to highlight the blogs. Let's say, for example, there's an important blog that you want people to read. It's going to be eye-catching if you use that kind of card and put it there and somebody sees it. They are more likely going to click on it than when they're going to start going to the navigation bar and go to the blog and going to find like the list of the archive of blogs and things like that. You can use the featured card to highlight things like maybe if you're running a promo, in your community, you're doing a sale, you can use that because each of those things, the CTAs, the text, the images, all of those things are dynamic. You just author them. I keep using the word author, but you create them, and then you can just like literally use the cards to display them, within your community. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So that's, I'm as soon as you said feature block or feature card, my mind jumped straight to an ad.
Exactly.
Like you described.
Yeah.
In my community, we have free members, and then we have premium members who are businesses, and those businesses provide services to the free members. So let's say you're a photographer. You sign up for a premium account on our site. You pay us a monthly subscription, and in exchange for that monthly subscription, you're allowed to post X number of times in the offers category, let's say. So what we offer then is a certain number of those posts are featured or are featured for a certain length of time.
Yeah.
And I think where I would use that featured card is I would use those featured cards as to like banners to highlight those. Either I might say to them, hey, for X dollars a month you get your profile would be featured, or let's say your directory entry would be highlighted, or if you have an offer, if you're giving away 3 free shoots this month, you can pay us to have that offer highlighted, on the app homepage or on all app pages or whatever.
Absolutely.
Does that sort of align with that use case?
Absolutely. That's what that does. That's exactly what that does.
Amazing.
And then the last card is the blog card. So after we designed the 4 major cards, I was like, well, you got to have a blog card because everybody has a blog. At least blog is one place everybody aligns on, right? Every single website, every single BuddyBoss community has a blog. We might all have different custom post types and things like that, but everybody's going to have a blog. So I was like, well, we can leave that out, So we built the block cards. I think there are about 5 versions of it. So because the way the cards work is when you drag into an app page, you could actually choose the style. And when you choose the style, it will update in the back end, like so that you can see the actual
in the visualizer
of like a visualizer, right? So now you have multiple options for different ways. Some of them are horizontal, some of them are scrolling this way, some of them are literally just like a little single bar that you can use an arrow, like a navigation button to navigate from one block to the other. So it's just like bringing a fresh experience to the blogs rather than just having the thing there, but like you can have different ways to showcase it and things like that. So that way tomorrow you can switch out designs every day. So when people come into your app, it's like, okay, what's going on? It's always fresh. You're always coming up with different ways that you're using that. So I'm really interested to see how people are going to use it, how people are going to use it in their own ways to create stuff. And one of the things that we look to do in the future, even very soon, is like a design contest. We want people to suggest, sketch what they want, their own design ideas, and then our designers will build those things and have them in the app. Because you and I know feedback is the blood of this, so I don't want to build stuff and just stash it on people. I want to know what they want, what they're talking about, how they see these things. And funny enough, some of the features that we have in Blockli right now, some came from some people in the BuddyBoss community on the Facebook that I was kind of like in the secret. I told them what I was working on and just kind of showed them a little bit of what I'm working on. And then they were like, ooh, they started like talking about and give me a lot of ideas that informed, some part of what we've done. So I want to keep that culture going, just so that people can, feel that we are here to support them. We're here to help in ways that, BuddyBoss is amazing. You continue to do the big thing, the heavy lifting, but there's just little foxes here and there we can catch, you know what I mean? We can help you guys take care of so that everybody's happy, everybody's getting what they want, right? And so that's why I'm looking forward to more developers coming on board and partnering together. Ryan, you talk about him, he's a good friend of mine. Like literally sometimes I spend the night with him. We just trying to like figure stuff out, right? So it's been an incredible community to see the amount of energy, the amount of feedback in the Facebook group, and just like listening to what people are saying and how they're envisioning their problems solved, right? The solutions around it. Some of those things also sort of like percolated on me, and informed some of the things that we're doing today. Yeah.
For sure. That's awesome. So tell me then, what are some of the things that are upcoming? So you've walked me through each of the card features that you have that are live today. Tell me about some exciting things that are either in development or are in planning or are soon to be available.
Yeah. So the future is really more of dynamism. Like we talked about the dynamic blocks, dynamic fields, and conditional blocks. I would like to say if you have a certain membership type, I don't want you to see this block and things like that. Those are the kind of things that we would be thinking about as far as the blocks are concerned. But beyond the block, yes, we're called Blockli, but we don't just build the block. The vision is to, like, for example, we have currently in development an audio video playlist. It's like a podcast. Literally, you're having a podcast inside the BuddyBoss app, which is going to connect with either CDN or even Apple Podcast, Spotify, and things like that. You can pull your own podcast and bring it into the BuddyBoss app, or you create them as a custom post type in WordPress and do that. So literally, now you can have a system where you have episodes and series and things like really beautifully designed, nice player, bringing that kind of fresh perspective into your community, right? And people it can also be a good source of revenue as well, right? So based on people's memberships, they can have, the same way you can have access to a lender's course, you can have access to certain, podcast episodes and things like that. So podcast is one of them. We're also working to create, you think about, for me, the greater picture for me is to build out a software as a service, like a system like Webflow, where customers can actually go through a visual drag and drop. They will create a React code. So literally you just go in, if you're familiar with Webflow, you don't need to know HTML and CSS. You just go there, you drag stuff, and at the end of the day, you export the code, right? So we're looking at a situation in that world where, because I'm thinking, how do we solve the challenge of, like you said, there are so many custom post types, right? Like, how many are you gonna build? But if we build a tool where somebody can go in and say, okay, I'm a gym instructor and my custom post type is for workout routines and sessions, right? I need a video here, I need this and that here. They drag and drop, and at the end of the day, in the back end, as they're dragging that, we are generating the React code for that template that he's doing visual drag and drop. And at the end of the day, he's going to export that and push that into his GitHub repository and connect that to his custom post type. So Blockli is going to come into that place where it might even be outside of the WordPress entity itself. It could be like a SaaS on its own where you can go generate these things and we connect it back to WordPress so that BuddyBoss customers and users, you don't ever have to learn React Native. You don't ever have to mess around with anything code. You continue to focus on the front end of stuff. Well, but I don't know how long when we're gonna get there, but that's that's where we're going. But in the meantime, there are a lot of super cool things, like I talked about the podcast player, dynamic blocks, creating some generic custom post types that people can use. We can also build templates that people can map to. Just
conditional blocks. I love that one. That's a big one for me. Conditional blocks. Yeah, give me them conditional blocks.
Yeah.
I think one that I saw as well on your site, I think somewhere maybe in one of your videos you mentioned onboarding.
Oh yes, exactly. Sorry about I forgot that one. That is the top requested one by people. So that's actually one of the top, it's already planned and we're working on. It's probably going to come out in the next couple of weeks because it's much easier. And what is actually holding that back is I'm waiting for, because I know BuddyBoss is working behind the scene for conditional conditional app page. You know how like you can restrict people going to certain app pages based on maybe whatever membership and things like that.
Or profile type.
Now that goes, Jason, to what you asked me the question about, like, how does BuddyBoss system help us, right? Now, instead of me trying to think about building that integration, the deeper part of it, which is going to handle that logic of the condition, I'm going to wait for BuddyBoss to build that. And so when they build it, then because once you create an app page, the condition is going to affect that app page, right? So the idea for us is we're going to use blocks to allow people to create the steps for the onboarding. So you have these app pages, and then using the condition that is coming through what BuddyBoss is building, you could say if this person is the first time, he's just coming in for the first time in the app, then redirect him or her to the specific screen. And then from that screen, you see the next button, bam, 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 bam. And when you get to the last step of it, then you get to go back to the activity feed or something like that. So, these are more like ways of trying to walk around this and get that out to people in an intuitive way. So that's why like I'm literally like a hawk in BuddyBoss roadmap. I'm just looking, just because I don't want to build what you're building. I want you guys to do the hard work, and I'll just come along. So I'm just looking at that, and we're pacing our roadmap based on the capabilities that you are providing, even on the custom development side of things, the tools that you're providing. There's so many visions and ideas that I have and our team have, but they are informed by what we see that you guys are bringing in the future. And so we have to pace our roadmap to, sort of align with, what you guys are doing.
Awesome. That's amazing. Yeah. I every time you describe one of the new features or another feature, I'm like, oh yeah, damn, I need that. Oh yeah, damn, I need that. Like, I need that yesterday. I need that. Oh yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to get it now because that. Oh wait, now I'm definitely going to get it. Oh wait, now I'm definitely going to get it. Yeah, that onboarding will be killer for sure. I think I also saw in your. I know I keep mentioning things I've seen in your videos that are all very good, by the way. One of the things in my own onboarding from my community, which I have on the web, I have a custom onboarding, and in the app I just have no registrations because there is no onboarding. So I force everybody to do the onboarding on web, and then they can log into the app afterwards. So one of the things I have on web is I have a custom gravity form that I use. So I have, they fill out whatever gravity form fields that I require. That saves into their post meta, their profile meta, and then I allow them to go to the next step, whatever. And that was one of the things I saw in your videos. Coming down the line somewhere is hopefully a gravity form integration.
You're in the lock, right? So we're building a native integration for gravity form. So that means within the app, BuddyBoss app, gravity form would actually be a natively supported. So you could actually go to a page and it's a gravity form, it's native, it's not a web fallback. You can actually submit and do all that stuff. So that's coming as well.
That's what I'm thinking for my onboarding steps. That's what I need. Philip, that's awesome. I'm super excited for all of the things that you've already outlined that are already available for everybody, and for the things that are coming soon. So just tell everybody a little bit about how, if they are an app customer now, how they can start using Blockli. If they're not an app customer, obviously Blockli is an app add-on, so they would need to be an app customer. But tell us a little bit about, if somebody is interested in getting Blockli, where they can go and a little bit about your offer that you have currently.
Absolutely. So you can go to blockli.dev, and we have all the information there, the pricing and all of that. So go to blockli.dev. And we're currently running an introductory promo where right now Blockli is going for $3.99 for an annual license, which, if you think about it, it's almost unbelievable. If to pay someone to build out like a plethora of features for you for the BuddyBoss app, it's going to be very, very super expensive. So we're currently running that, introductory promo on our website right now. That's going to continue for a little while, and just so that we can get as many people as possible into that, category. So if anybody wants to check out Blockli, they can go to blockli.dev.
So that was $3.99 for an annual license. Just tell everybody what is the normal usual cost. If,
so
if not for the launch.
If after the introductory promo, Blockli is going to be $7.99,
which is still a steal if you ask me.
Oh yeah, it's still.
So yeah, Philip, it was amazing to have you on. Really super inspiring to see everything that you've done. I'm really excited to have a play around with Blockli and to start using it in my own app and for my own community. I know Graham's the same. I think Graham might have already even bought it for himself. He messaged me earlier to be like, yeah, like I'm on it. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Is there anywhere where can people go online to sort of to kind of connect with you personally if they have any questions or anything like that? Where can people go?
Of course, if you go to our website, there's a support form there, or a contact us form that they can submit to get in touch with me or with the rest of the team. Of course, our YouTube channel, Blockli on YouTube, we're going to be doing like a series of tutorials and live streams and things like that, just to talk about BuddyBoss App. And I tell people I'm a BuddyBoss enthusiast, like I just want to spend time to talk about that. So probably, hopefully, it could serve as a way of, just sort of giving people ideas and sort of opening their minds to see that, wow, I've had this thing in my hand this whole time. I didn't know it could do this. It could do that. I could do that. So that's what we want to do with our YouTube channel, just to talk about everything about BuddyBoss App and the BuddyBoss platform. So they can go to YouTube Blockli and search for Blockli and, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can go to our website, go to the contact us page, and, from there you can fire up a contact and it's going to come to me directly. I look forward to connecting with people on this conversation about the app.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Philip. And thanks for everyone for sticking around and for giving us your time. Really appreciate it. Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. Thanks for having me.
That was Philip Ikpeiwunna introducing us to the first third-party add-on for the BuddyBoss app, Blockli, giving users a set of customizable blocks to visually display and connect content in their BuddyBoss app. You can find everything discussed on today's podcast along with a transcript and links to any of the resources over at buddyboss.com/podcast. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to let us know, then make sure to hit that like button below and then leave us a quick comment and tell us what was the one most valuable thing you learned from this video. That's it for me. Until next time.